I grew up Christian and specifically Presbyterian, so I do have like lots of memories going to church and like that kind of thing. So when I went to college, I did take a few religion courses, and then when I met my husband, his family and his culture kind of just morphed into my life. And one day I was like, let me just kind of look into Islam. And I didn't really tell my husband about it. I was just like, let me just do it on my own. And yes, my husband did play a part, but he never forced me. The first time I really decided I wanted to wear hijab, I was not expecting a positive comment. It was an older lady and she was like, oh my gosh, ma'am, you look beautiful right now. Like, I guess also when it comes to hijab is like, there's a lot of the misconceptions where, oh, those women are oppressed. And so that is definitely a misconception that a lot of people have. I think I just look at it as I was happy before and I was fine before, but I feel like now I have purpose. So I am originally from Los Angeles, California in the US, and I would say probably there are a lot of Catholics, Christians, and then also a good Jewish majority. So I grew up Christian and specifically Presbyterian. So I do have like lots of memories going to church and like that kind of thing with my family and friends, but there wasn't, when I look back on it, it wasn't, it didn't take up a lot of our life, I guess I could say, but we were Christian Presbyterian. So when I went to college, I did take a few religion courses, and then when I met my husband, his family and his culture kind of just morphed into my life. So I was like, oh, I took it upon myself. And one day I was like, let me just kind of look into Islam. And I didn't really tell my husband about it. I was just like, let me just do it on my own. And one day I told him about it and he was really shocked. And my parents were really confused. They weren't judgy or anything. They were just like, oh, like, so you're looking into this, and like they would make jokes here and there, but my parents are both really supportive and my family's really supportive. So I would say yes, my husband did play a part, but he never forced me or told me to look into Islam. I just happened to do it myself and kind of fell in love with it. Well, I would say that has to do with the first time I really decided I wanted to wear hijab. I was like, I told my husband, oh, I think I want to wear my hijab like for the first time, like out of the house and just go grocery shopping. And I ended up going grocery shopping. And the first comment I got from anyone, which was shocking to me, was super nice. It was an older lady and she was like, oh my gosh, ma'am, you look beautiful right now. Like I just had to stop and tell you. And I was like, oh, wow. And so that kind of like opened my eyes and I was like, wow. I was not expecting a positive comment because there's all these stigmas with women in hijab. So I was expecting somebody to say something negative, and I got the complete opposite, and I kind of used that and like embraced that. So I took my shahada at my in-laws' house, and I had everybody there, and it was really kind of like the word. I guess it was really special just because I had all of his family there and they were all very supportive. So once I did the Shahada, they were all super excited for me. And we all had dinner and we all got to hang out and just talk. There were some misconceptions. I mean, obviously, growing up in Los Angeles, there is going to be that stigma of, oh, you have to be Middle Eastern to be Muslim, or just something like that. Like, there's always that, like, oh, they're Middle Eastern, they're Muslim. Like it's just that connection. And so I guess also when it comes to hijab is like there's a lot of the misconceptions where, oh, those women are oppressed. And I'm sure there are some that are, but from what I have learned, it's not like that at all. It is a woman's choice and what she wants to do for Allah. And so that is definitely a misconception that a lot of people have that kind of changed for me. I think I just look at it as I was happy before and I was fine before, but I feel like now I have purpose and there's just something more that I feel to my life. And I'm very happy. Alhamdulillah, like I have nothing negative to say. But I just feel more open, free, and just good in general. I I guess this would go back to the misconceptions as well, is that women don't have equal rights or as many rights as men do. And that's one of the things I really do like, is that men and women are very much equals. I think there's only one thing that the man has over the woman.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you admire the content.
In total. So I think that that is something that I do really like, is we are equals and we're all doing it for Allah. We're not doing it for anyone else. So that is something that I definitely hold like special to me. So I wouldn't say I was not welcomed or welcomed. Like it was just kind of like when other hijabis, other Muslims see me, they just salam alaikum, wa alaikum salam. So it's like kind of like I automatically got support, I would say. But then there's also some cases where it's like I'm almost too Muslim to be white and Korean, where that side is like looking at me all like, oh, what? And then I'm almost too Korean and white to be Muslim. So like there's that dilemma there sometimes, but most of the time I'm very welcomed. I have a lot of friends that I have been able to make that are also Muslim, and so I would say I have been pretty well supported, but at the same time, it's not really, I don't think I would use supported or that kind of thing. It just kind of happened. Probably people looking at me like thinking that I'm oppressed and like questioning. I can tell by their face when they question, like, oh, why is she wearing that? Or, oh, like that kind of thing. There's been a lot of situations where I'll be walking somewhere, and for instance, like an older gentleman will be like giving me this dirty look, and I'm just like, okay, like I can see him looking at me, but I don't look at him. I just continue smiling and walk away, and I can see his expression in the side of my face just completely change because he's like, oh, she didn't look at me. She didn't react. Like, wow. So getting looked at differently, even by other women on the street, or when I'm at the grocery store, I'll even be with my mother, and we'll be in, for instance, like Costco or something, walking around, and people will just almost like break their backs trying to look at me like this, and I'm like, my mom's like, I don't understand. People will be wearing no clothes at all and they think it's fine. But when somebody looks like you and is covered and is dressed nice, it's an issue. And she even doesn't understand it. So I would say that that is probably something, not really a struggle, but something that's on the downside, I would say. But it's not something that affects me. And it's, yeah, it just doesn't affect me like how they would expect it to. So my friends were very supportive. I my best friend, she grew up Muslim, so she was probably the most supportive. But my family, they were, I would say, maybe a little bit confused and thrown off. My mom had always said she thought one of her kids would get really into religion, and they raised us to kind of be who we want to be and do what we want to do. So she was like, I have a feeling one of you guys is going to embrace a religion. Doesn't have to be our religion, it can be others. And she thought it was interesting that it was me and not my sister. But my dad, he's never really negative about it. I think he throws some comments here and there, but he doesn't realize like that they can come off kind of negative, but he doesn't mean it that way. But my mom, she's so supportive. Like she will wear full abaya going to my in-laws. Like she's not Muslim, and I'm like, you pretty much are. Like you wear your like you dress so conservative and modest, like when you go to certain places with me, and like it's really great, and especially since I have my daughter. Um, so she kind of gets to see my mom doing that for me, or I guess for me, it's not really for me, but um yeah, so my sister, she's younger than me by 2 years, and she has no issues with it as well. She's been pretty supportive from the start as well. So I'm very lucky because I know that's not the situation for a lot of other reverts and converts. Like that breaks my heart that a lot of people are not able to get that support from their families. But I am really lucky, alhamdulillah, that my parents are very supportive and my sister and my friends. What born reverts should or born Muslims should know about reverts. I would say there's a big line between like what's the word I'm looking for? Giving advice and criticism. So I would say like born Muslims, like Shukran, thank you so much for your advice. But sometimes giving advice and then also having some kind of criticism with it, it's we don't really want the criticism. We just want you to embrace us and kind of advise us in a proper way. There have been instances where it's like on my YouTube channel in some comments you'll see somebody comment because I have a video with my mom. Oh, like she's going to go like basically Shaitan's gonna affect her and take her when she dies and she's gonna go to hell and like that's not that's not something a revert wants to hear about their mom that's not Muslim. There's comments like that where I'm like, okay, I don't know if you're a revert or if you're a born Muslim. I would assume you're a born Muslim just by how they word it. Um, but yeah, just born Muslims be nice to us reverts because we're just trying to learn. And I'm sure there's born Muslims that are still learning as well. So I would say do your research and make sure you're doing it for yourself and for Allah and not for anyone else. Because there are a lot of, like I said, this I guess goes back to the misconceptions as well, is a lot of people think, oh, you reverted, you converted for a man, your husband, or that kind of thing. And it's not. Like I did get those comments as well, but I did it for myself. I looked into it, figured out how much I loved it and resonated with it, and just went with it and continued researching and learning. And it led me to Islam, and I just loved it, embrace it.